One's good, one's bad, yeah, they're really always like this. We don't know who's who, but at least we know who Mike is. They love to complain, they got sports on the brain, and they frequently drive each other insane. It's the good and the bad and the Mike. The good and the bad and the Mike. The good and the bad and the Mike. It's the good and the bad and the Mike.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Good, the Bad and the Bike. I'm Oisin. That's Cian.
Hello.
And that's Mike.
Hello.
On a slightly worse headset, so don't worry about it if you can't hear him properly. He's
Technical
probably
difficulties.
fine.
No longer blind.
That
Do we
is
clear that up?
That's also a huge thing. He can see
Do we
again.
clear up?
See.
Do we clear up the blindness with people, or should we leave it as a
I
mystery?
mean, if
and
you
let them
want
guess?
to.
Yeah, it's.
I
your
think
eyes.
it's best we leave it as a mystery and let them guess what happened.
All I'll say is he was found wandering around a car park.
It sounds so bad,
I know.
but it's so true. All right. Yeah, I don't think I had any other housekeeping notes to take care of before we kick things off. So let's just jump straight into the news. Mike, let's go to you first.
Okay. First bit of news, some funny ones. Leicester City striker Kelechi Iheanacho was turned back from Polish airport and had to come back because his passport irregularities on the eve of the UEFA Cup game.
Wait,
I
really?
did hear about this. So
I
what
completely
happened
Yeah,
missed
exactly?
this.
I seen the headline of it and then meant to check
Yeah.
and forgot about it, yeah.
He was due to start the game and all this, according to Brendan Rodgers, but at the airport he was turned back because of something to do with the regulators showing in his passport that I wouldn't let him through.
That's
So he had
kind
to
of
just
funny.
go home.
I have a quick question as
You
well.
know-
Did you find this just during the week, or was this from Poland Watch?
It's in Poland,
Nah,
of
this is
course.
seriously. It's both. It's a bit of both. You know, sources. It just takes longer to get it from Poland Watch because I have to actually translate.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Not fluent yet.
He's getting there, though.
English media is a lot easier though.
That's very fair.
You don't really hear that from professional football, the sports people in general when traveling.
No,
No, that's kind of.
it would be a weird one. The other one, I think I spoke about this before, but there was one where Nigel Owens was travelling to Dublin to ref a Leinster match, and he had a driver's license with him, and I think it was Ryanair he was flying with, but they wouldn't let him fly, even though you don't need a passport apparently to fly between UK and Ireland, but Ryanair demand that you have one, so they wouldn't let him on the flight, and then he went on Twitter about it, and then Aer Lingus gave him a free flight to Dublin or something weird like that happened. It might have been the other way around, but I think I have it right.
Great PR
But it is strange,
for Aer Lingus.
Very, yeah. Like I suppose most pro athletes are so used to traveling that if there is an issue, it gets stamped out fairly fast.
Yeah, they're probably fairly on top of these kind of things, usually.
Yeah, their agents would be, or I don't know,
Whoever
someone with the
is in
club for
charge of
sports
it,
teams.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I know there was one
hilarious.
time when I was doing the tour of the Stade de France that when Ronaldinho played for them, apparently he left his ID badge on the bus because he's like, I'm Ronaldinho, I'm the man. Of course, everyone knows who the fuck I am, and the security wouldn't let him into the stadium.
For
He'd go
fuck's
back and get his
sake.
ID badge.
Like-
Like idiot.
Even if they know who you are, surely you don't take that risk. They gotta do a job.
Yeah, it's so unnecessary. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, Cian, let's go to you for news. What have you
Yeah,
got?
this is just a funny one that I seen a headline and I knew what it was about, but I still didn't believe it. I think this applies from because the League of Ireland season is nearly over. I assume it's next year's League of Ireland, but Finn Harps have a new sponsor, and it's Guild Esports, who became kind of famous last year because they're part owned by David Beckham. So David Beckham is kind of a sponsor of Finn Harps.
You love to see it.
Boys. But yeah,
That's
all that money coming in. Because I seen the headline, I seen the
So-
branding. I don't know, that can't be
What
real.
you're
That's
saying is that Finn Harps is now a feeder club to Inter Miami.
pretty much, yeah.
Or
So that's
is Inter Miami now a feeder club to Finn Harps?
I wish. Have Inter Miami actually signed any players yet, or are they?
I don't know.
That's the mystery of it. Nobody knows. Everyone's like, oh yeah, that's happening sometime. Is it
Get
though?
me soon.
Oh no, actually, yeah, Inter Miami have signed a number of players. They have Higuain, I think, playing for them.
Ooh, they're playing games. They have results here.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Yes, they do.
Was I?
Gonzalo Higuain moved there. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, Harps can do with him alright, yeah. I'll be alright.
Ooh, let's see what their roster is, because it's a fucking American club. I hate it so much.
Ooh, who did they
Gibbs.
get in the draft?
Kieran Gibbs is at Inter Miami.
So he is. Yeah. And Ryan Shawcross.
Plays
Okay, Ryan.
Matuidi. Jesus, how could I forget about that? Ryan Shawcross, yeah, you're right. Fucking hell. Robbie Robinson, what a name.
That's the most American thing I've ever heard in my life.
So maybe
Robert
James
Robinson.
isn't far off.
James.
Huh, they've got some good old players there. Fair play.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Oh my god, do you see who their head coach is?
No, who's their head coach? Phil Neville.
Phil Neville.
What a time to be alive.
I
Was
think
he
that
not,
he
um,
was,
Yeah,
he's in under 21 stuff with England, wasn't he?
He was
No, he
over
was,
the England women's team.
Oh, he was, yeah.
He
Until
only
just
so he
this
only
year,
started
yeah.
Inter Miami this year. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realise he'd left the
Yeah.
England women's team. They were doing quite well, I think. I believe.
Not as good as Inter Miami.
I mean, when Inter Miami call, like, come on.
Yeah.
How's the Finn Harps?
Speaking of League of Ireland, though, Keane, Shelburne FC clinched the League of Ireland First Division title with 3 games to spare, and guaranteeing them promotion up to the Premier Division this year. So they
fair play.
Yeah, after spending 1 year in the First Division, they're right back up. So that's huge for them.
There is that like 4-team roulette kind of the same teams who just keep going down and back up. You can probably put Harps in as well, and Galway and Bray. They just kind of up and down and up and down.
Because it's a very
UCD.
strange promotion system, I think. So essentially,
How?
the first team in the First Division gets automatically promoted. Then the following 3, I think, go into playoffs with last place from the First Division, but they're all 2-leg playoffs, even the final, I believe.
That is strange. I think that's how my knowledge from Football Manager tells me that's how the Scottish League 2 does it as well. It's weird, but I enjoy it.
It's a strange way of doing it, alright.
How does this is something I've wondered, but I've never, if any of you know, because of you have your League of Ireland First Division, and they do occasionally tend to don't they relegate from that, and then they've got like the Ulster Senior League, Leinster Senior League, something weird in Connacht and Munster Senior League. Do they just pick one to go up, or do they think it's the most? Or do they actually relegate from the First Division?
I'm not 100% on how that works.
Yeah, that's a weird one. I don't know if they relegate like every season.
I'd like to think it's like a Serie C kind of thing where it's a massive division with 3 different groups.
That's the worst thing I've ever
Each
heard.
with their own league and playoff system.
Okay, no, they don't seem to relegate every year, so that's not okay. Doesn't really matter then.
All right, Mike. What other news have you got for us?
Yeah, bit of a shit story here, but it's our job. So obviously, last year, I don't know if it was last year or a while back, Sparta Prague fans were racially abusing Monaco's Aurelio Tushanemi in August.
Right.
This was preceded with a punishment that they decided to close the stadium.
Oh yeah.
However, UEFA decided to let 10,000 supervised children attend the game against Rangers on Thursday. Those kids, all younger than 14, booed every time Glenn Kamara made a touch.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Not a great look for Sparta Prague, to be fair.
Yeah. Not
one of the ones that's more known for it, I wouldn't have thought. Particularly like Czech Republic, I wouldn't have thought that they would be.
Well, Sparta Prague had issues before last season as well. I think Glenn Kamara. There was reports that one of the players I think had racially abused Glenn Kamara during the game.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Fuck.
which I think is part of the reason that he was booed or something. Apparently, I think they tried to explain away that it wasn't racist. It was because he had accused one of their players of racially abusing him, and
It's just that he's shit.
yeah. So, but it
Yeah.
just doesn't look great for them.
No, not a great look for UEFA either.
No, not at all.
No.
Especially when they rescinded their harsh punishment and said, we'll give it a lighter one, we'll just bring kids in. And yeah, this
Yeah.
happened.
Didn't work well for them.
Didn't know he was Finnish. That's interesting.
All right, Keane, you don't have any more news? Am I right?
No, I'm all newsed out.
Do you wanna any comment on FC Sheriff Tiraspol beating Real Madrid 2-1 to continue their unbeaten run?
Yeah, just saying they're going to win the Champions League, and I was the only one who called it. I was trying to say nobody else outside of her.
Look,
No?
I mean, I hope
No.
you're right, kid. I hope they do win the Champions League. 'Cause that would be about 900 quid, I think. I mean, I'd take that. If they go undefeated the whole way and win the Champions League, that'd be some run. And I mean, they could do it. They've already
Leicester in
beaten.
their place anyway.
They would, wouldn't it? They've already beaten Shakhtar and Real. So I believe in them.
Some would say harder teams. I don't remember. Who's the other team in the group?
Inter Milan.
Oh, okay, not the harder teams in the group then. I mean,
if I
Yeah.
was to rank them, I'd definitely go Real, Inter, Shakhtar. But I mean, Real is definitely, I would think,
I don't know, Shakhtar Donetsk away is a tough fixture for any team.
I think the Sheriff game against Shakhtar
Was it
at
a
home,
Sheriff?
to be fair.
Was it?
I think
Nah.
so. But the Real game was in the Bernabeu. That was in
oh my
Madrid.
god, that's amazing.
They won 2-1 thanks to an 89th minute winner. But yeah,
I mean, yeah,
absolutely fantastic.
big fan.
They're extreme.
Some of the best comments are, this is why Real want the Super League, so they won't have to face powerhouses like Sheriff Tiraspol.
Sheriff Tiraspol.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly it.
Mike, what else you got for us?
Bit of Irish news here, and
Cool.
kind of world, I guess. So it has come out that there were some questionable calls in the 2016 Euro Olympics in terms of boxing made by the AIB, and there's an investigation going out.
Right.
I think the most famous.
Not Euro Olympics, just regular Olympics.
That
That's
makes
the
more
Olympics.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was like
I think
okay,
I think it was also Euro. I think the European Championship as well. There was some
they
calls,
were
but the main,
around it, yeah.
I think the main big story and the big focal point of it was Irish boxer Michael Conlon. Don't know if you remember that fight, where it looked like he
remember
was.
it against Nikitin.
Yes, where he was all over him, it seemed, and they ended up on points giving it to your man, who then proceeded not being able to.
No.
He had to pull out of the
He
Olympics
was
due
too
to
injured to
injuries
fight.
sustained
Yeah.
in the fight, so he couldn't even play the semi-final.
Oh, it was shocking, but like he annihilated that man.
So, so
Yeah,
that's a big
looking to
story that
overturn
came out.
that. Yeah, Mikey
Yeah.
Collins, his medal.
Like it is worth pointing out that the Tokyo Olympics that just passed didn't use the IIB to judge the matches as well.
They did not. No.
They used the independent. I think they come up with their own committee to judge them.
That's interesting. I didn't know that actually.
I had. They were talking about when I was watching some of the Olympics that they did have different judging system in place. They weren't using, was it the ABBA or whatever you called it?
Yeah.
The regulatory body for amateur stuff, that they were using their own judges. Yeah.
Interesting. Let's see, what other news did I have?
This is something that I found interesting that I stumbled into a week ago. I just come into my head here.
Go on.
So I was wandering around on the Paddy Power novelty markets that they have going. And for RT Sports Personality of Sports Person of the Year 2021, of the top 5 in the betting, I'd say, well, 5, 50 is joint fifth, but I'm excluding the other joint fifth. 4 of the 5 are women. Which kind of shocked me, but when you look at it, you're like, yeah, that's very fair. Irish lads are doing nothing in sports right now, but the women are actually doing something decently well. So that was just something that surprised me.
Very fair.
Bringing up in our usual women in sports section that has become somewhat weekly now.
Yeah, it's been quite regular.
Yeah.
That's it.
We're a progressive
Speaking
show.
of weekly, that's it. Speaking of weekly segments we do, we're going to shit on Barcelona.
I was just thinking about that. Unfortunately, they're not playing live tonight, so we can't shit on them live, but, retroactively.
Well, there were meetings last week to determine whether or not they'd keep Coleman as manager. I was actually planning on talking about this. It had occurred to me earlier, and I was like, "No, I'll leave them off this week." But see how you brought it up. He hasn't been sacked, but all the talk was that they were playing Atletico the weekend, and all the talk was that Luis Suarez could be the one to get him sacked. They lost 2-0. Suarez with a goal and an assist. So we'll wait and see if he's sacked at any point over the international break, but I don't think they can afford it with the mess they're in at the moment. And
Did you see that?
Pay out to him.
Now, Suarez has a history of celebrating comments in front of managers.
Yeah.
As we all remember the famous dive in front of Moyes after his timing. Suarez, after scoring against Barca, started holding what looked like pretending to have a phone in his hand while directing it at Koeman to signal, this is how you treated me, because as the story goes, I believe it was a phone call he had with him, not even face to face.
Fantastic. I love the shithousery of it.
Very fair.
Seeing as how we shit on Barca, I want to shit on a different club this week as well. PSG lost to Stade Rennes during the week, or over the weekend. And despite starting an attack of Messi, Neymar and Mbappe, PSG had 0 shots on target during that game. That's shocking.
Yeah, that is very bad.
That's just...
Lost 2-0.
I mean,
horrific.
Once again, I suppose PSG
They had
weren't in
13
the Super
shots in
League.
total.
They wanted to be.
Dear Lord.
How do you have that attack force and just not even get a shot on target?
That's very fair.
Anyway.
It actually was interesting. It was not only the PSG lose, also Bayern lost. I believe Juventus, did they win or lost? There's a load of top teams lost on the weekend. And you would have made a good few punts out of it if you put a bet on it.
Oh, yeah, but that's...
It was just a strange weekend where all the top teams seem to have lost or dropped points.
Juventus beat Torino. They won 1-0.
Maybe it wasn't Juventus then. I'll have to check.
Yeah.
I didn't really... Yeah, Bayern Munich lost 2-1 to Eintracht Frankfurt. I didn't even realise that, actually. Thanks to an 83rd minute goal. The only other bit of football news I had was that Milan have apparently submitted a formal complaint to UEFA against the Turkish referee after their game against Atletico Madrid last week. Apparently there was some absolutely shocking decisions there.
I mean, I saw the penalty decision. I mean, it's one of those, you can see it given, you can see it not. I have no complaints with it. I think it's just the fact I think they feel so aggrieved that it happened. Literally, it was the last kick of the game that this penalty decision happened.
Fair. Which I could see
but I
why
think
they would be aggrieved with that.
I think whatever way it happened was, I think they're saying that he was pushed and there was a handball by the Atletico player first that pushed the ball into the AC Milan player to make it handball. But it's one of those, it's like, it blocked the shot from going in, I think, or something like that. it was one of those where you could see it and you go, is it handball there and is it handball there? It's one of those where I think VAR, if it's not clear and obvious, you got to go with the ref's decision of what he saw. I think it's the best way to describe that one.
Fair. I'll be interested to see what happens with the
speaking of clear and obvious, and we were discussing, I did note on the weekend I was watching one of the NFL games, which are usually pretty great with their on-call, their video reviews and all that. They got it wrong with a call on the Panthers one, and that's where technology failed them.
What happened?
It was on the go-ahead touchdown drive for the Cowboys. This is after originally the Cowboys fumbled, and it was correctly deemed. Technology was correct in use of saying he was down before the ball was lost, which is correct. That was fine. But the very next play, another tackle came, but the refs called it forward progress was stopped. So it was no fumble, but the replay showed as soon as the contact was made, the ball was popped out, but they couldn't review or challenge it, even though it was playing on the monitors for 5 minutes. And Matt Rowe was like, why can't I challenge this? It's a fumble. We recovered. They're like, we called it forward progress. It's not reviewable decision.
Yeah.
So it's one where the refs even acknowledged they fucked up, but because the call was made, there was nothing they could do to overturn it.
That's fair. You feel bad for that, but you understand why the rules in place. I always find forward progression, forward momentum is a weird one as well.
It is such a bad.
Nibble them dead. I don't know if it's I think it should be in the game because otherwise it might be a bit, I don't know, too hard hitting. But
I wonder if it's one of those that should only be called when it's blatantly obvious. Like if a player gets tackled and starts being pushed back, then you call their.
It's just because it's a judgment call and 90% of them are going to be fine and nobody's going to care, or 99% of them.
Yeah. I remember the one I always remember was the Chiefs-Patriots game, and we were mid-sacking Mahomes, and Mahomes doing his signature, throwing out of the sack to make the pass.
Yeah.
It goes down, he got sacked, the pass goes over the head, and they go, we stopped it as forward progress was stopped. And they didn't give the sack, we're like, he's in mid-sack. What's going on?
Yeah, they probably wouldn't do that
progress.
for
it was just so befuddling. I was like, what the hell's going on? It should be 3rd and 20, not 3rd and 10. It was a bad play by Mahomes. But
I don't see them calling that because that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't, but it happens. It's the only one I remember of forward progress, and that's why I'm always.
I feel like I remember that happening actually. Speaking of judgment calls in the NFL, I know I mentioned this to you over the weekend, but I wanted to bring it up because we talked about the field goal Ravens-Lions game last week. We discussed it briefly. And Dan Campbell apparently said that the NFL told him that delay of game is a subjective call, which just it makes no sense. Even the more I read it.
No.
I do want to know more about how official the TV time is, because people seem to have a lot of very varied opinions on whether or not the TV can be taken seriously or whether or not it's very official.
I just assume they look at the sideboards to have the play clock.
Yeah,
that way the quarterback and everything sees it.
Yeah,
I saw a report that the TV time was actually the exact same as the stadium at the time. No, I don't know.
You think there's just someone in the helmet
the same thing, but
5, 4, 3, 2.
Well, their radio.
And he just went.
Radio gets cut off at 10 seconds, isn't it?
Something like that. No, yeah.
For quarterbacks, it's 10 seconds or 15 seconds. The radio cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's it's a bad one, but I'm kind of happy with it because it led to the amazing field goal. So,
look, at the end of the day, if he misses the field goal from 66 yards, it's not a big storyline, right?
No, exactly, yeah.
If he makes the record field goal distance. So, who knows?
Yeah. That's alright.
Mike, what other news have you got?
Okay. So it's not Watford aren't in the Premier League unless they sack a manager, right? How many games
surprised
did
it's
we
this early, though.
put it?
I'm very surprised it's this early. Only 7 games into the season.
We made you name the managers a few weeks ago. Can you name the current Watford manager or the one that's just been sacked?
I definitely could because I read about this, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But I did read about them sacking him, but I can't remember who it is now.
But
Not
yeah,
even doing that bad.
they're not too bad. Like
They face Liverpool in their next game as well.
he got them
Oof.
promoted. Like
Yeah. Who
at
was it
least give
again?
him a year. Disco
Oh yeah.
Nunez.
Do you know who the
Right,
new
I don't-
manager is?
No idea.
Claudio Ranieri?
No
Has
way.
it been announced?
Yeah, he was announced yesterday on the Guardian. He got a 2-year deal.
I mean, is it 2 years though?
I mean, they'll give him this year. They'll win the league next year, and then it'll be fine.
I'm curious though. I wonder how much money they have spent on manager payouts. Could you think of the players they could have brought in for the manager payouts they paid?
What was Munoz's contract? How long was that meant to be like?
I actually have no idea,
I also don't
but I
know.
assume it'd be a
I don't
long-term
know.
contract.
Probably a couple of years, but like they wouldn't have had the biggest contracts in like respect to the Premier
Championship.
League. I wouldn't imagine. So I
Yeah.
don't think it would cost them too. Like it might cost them a lot because they're a smaller club, but
But Jesus, Munoz becomes the 6th permanent appointee to leave the club since May 2017.
It's ridiculous.
that's a lot.
But they, like, Ranieri now comes in. He has, after the international break, Liverpool's their next game. Liverpool, Everton are their next 2. And then in the following 6 games, they play Chelsea, City, United, Arsenal, and Leicester. Like, that's
Not good.
Yeah, that's going to be a
Yeah.
very tough run to start out your career, your
I mean,
time at Watford with.
actually, you remember what was it? Nigel Pearson was 2 years ago when Watford were last in the Premier League.
Yeah.
This chap came in after the window, so it was after the January transfer window. So he had no time to sign any of the players he wanted. Got his player, did well, reasonably well. Got Watford out of the relegation zone. I was just mid, like just above the relegation zone, not fully out.
Mm.
They tried to sack him with 2 games to go.
Yeah. Absolutely insane.
They ended up getting relegated, and they deserved it for what they did.
That's That's
Um,
bad.
It's just trigger happy owners.
100%. Actually, who is their owner though? It's. I feel like I know who their owner
Is it not a
Gino
family?
Pozzo.
are. Okay, no, I don't know who it is. Gino Pozzo. I think I was thinking of. Yeah, no, I don't know what I was thinking of. In other news, we don't have much NBA news, but I read during the week that the NBA has announced any unvaccinated players who miss games will also be missing paychecks. They just won't be paid for any games they miss because they're unvaccinated. Which is an interesting way of doing it.
Like any games they catch because they
Yeah,
catch, or
I
any
assume
games
so.
they
I
miss because
assume
they
so.
caught COVID.
I assume so.
Not because it's their sister's birthday.
I didn't realize Neymar was in the NBA.
That is NBA.
Still my favorite things like, oh yeah, here's Neymar's annual injury on this day every year.
It's
Alright, so we're
funny.
calling it out. Neymar to be injured in... Is it February?
I think
don't
February
know.
sounds accurate. It's February or March anyway, I think.
It's around
Yeah, that
when
sounds-
the carnival is on.
If you type in Neymar into Google,
Sister's birthday.
it's Neymar net worth, Neymar salary, Neymar sister.
Can I make a very funny observation? just on how this is sounding to me. Question you may disagree, but it sounds like we're on a on a radio show, and Mike has phoned in. That's
It
the
actually,
kind of quality.
yes, that is exactly what it sounds like.
I've phoned it in, boys.
Yeah, Mike's phoned it in this week from Poland.
Special guest.
Cheers for your call, Mike. Long time listener, first time caller.
I'll totally take first time caller on the show. Love the show. Big fan.
Yeah.
Feels like it needs more Mike.
No, that's Mike's if anything.
Also,
Bring back
Neymar's-
speaking of Poland.
Neymar's sister's birthday is in March, so you were close.
I did say February, March.
Yeah.
You were close. Mike, back to you. What other news have you got for us?
Alright, so back to you. We're going to go back to NFL and the new scandal, which I am calling Lapgate. Jacksonville Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer was caught on video with a girl grinding up against him in a bar. Problem is, wasn't his wife.
Apparently, also he had sent the rest of the team home earlier in the night, and he just stayed out.
I have heard reports saying that Jaguars execs are discussing firing him under moral clause.
Yes, that was the update that I had. Michael Lombardi was reporting that there are many closed doors meetings happening over the last 2 days in the football offices, and none of them have anything to do with the Titans. This might get ugly, is how he finished his tweet, which would be hilarious.
So, question, guys: do you think Urban Meyer survives till we see him?
Yes.
You think he survives?
I don't know.
I've heard reports he does not like coaching in the NFL. He does not like it at all.
This is the second time he's tried it, and neither it's worked out well.
Yeah.
It is a bit of, he took the worst team in the league, so...
It's also worth noting.
He also had
It's also
the
worth
best
noting.
like
Go on, Mike.
team. He had the best teams coming to. Not saying like talent wise, but you had the most cap space round in a cap stricken league. You had unlimited. You had two first round picks, a load of seconds. It was like the perfect team to go into rebuild wise.
Yeah, but it's still even with a ton of cap space, people still don't want to go to Jacksonville too much yet. And granted, you get 5 rookies in your first 2 rounds, but then again, they're still rookies. So anyone who thought that this was going to be an immediate turnaround, himself included, wasn't very smart. Now, the one thing on him, he shouldn't get sacked for taking a lap dance to an extent. Not my cup of tea. Mike might beg to differ.
What?
Mike likes to go to strip club.
Absolutely called out.
Mike was trying to get me to a strip club. That's all I'm going to say on that. Moving on.
It is no word of a lie.
Yeah,
that is very true. But in my defense, I need to point out, I said the name of the place, and then immediately in mid-sentence went, "Let's go to Leonard." No, I didn't even know what it was. But I said no.
Yeah, but
we were just walking closer and closer, and eventually we found out what it was. I saw the neon food light. I was hungry.
Yeah,
sure.
Sure, that this is gonna cause maybe some problems at home if his wife didn't know about it. But it feels weird to get fired for something like that. Could you imagine?
It's more of a scandal like this if reflects on the franchise, though. You would think maybe that's what they're worried about.
Yeah, but it's so weird.
Yeah, but it's more of a case that they can fire him, and it's less of a payout because they have a clause here.
Yeah, 13C. If you go to a strip club, we can fire you.
No, but it's not a strip club. It's just a bar, and it's just some randomer in the bar. There's loads of people around him. It's not like he paid for a lap dance. It's just a bar, and he's just sitting there, and the girl's just grinding up on him. And he has his arms around her. Yeah! It's not like Dwayne Haskins was beside him going, "Yo, Herb, you want one?"
That would be very weird, but I'd be okay with that too. Because I always try to think of these in like real world scenarios, which it isn't. But like, if somebody in your place went out and had some form of like sort of cheated on their wife and they got fired for that, you'd be like, you should have done it, but it's not something you should get fired over. It's not like they're
Yeah,
in the
but
media, so it's a bit of a
that,
more
that's
higher
fair. But
profile
if
thing.
Yeah,
you're,
but
But
that's the issue though, is that it's just higher profile.
yeah, but is it not also a case of it's not like fair enough? But if you're representing and you're one of the faces of that franchise, it's in a bad light. If it was something like the pullback coach or the janitor or something, that's not really.
or the guy who took the smelling salts, I still love that
Yeah.
man.
If it's one of those, it's not like
Fucking funny.
okay, you wouldn't recognize and associate that guy as Jacksonville Jaguar. But if you look at him, you go, hey, that's the head coach.
Yeah,
It'd
but
be
I always
like-
I don't know. It's weird to me.
It's also worth noting
I
that
could see why you would.
This is not really Urban Meyer related, but it's Jacksonville Jaguars related. That since tweeting not satisfied with 1-0 at the start of last year, the Jaguars have lost 19 straight games, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, because they're
Yeah.
satisfied that it's 1-19. That's what they want.
Do you think they will keep losing until they tweet, all right, we're satisfied with 1-X?
We are now satisfied.
Yeah.
Please stop.
No, they could definitely get their first win though against the Dolphins.
I'm really hoping for that.
That would be that's very fair.
Speaking purely as a Patriots AFC East fan.
They weren't terribly far away from beating the Bengals. It was a very good game, and they definitely had a chance to beat them.
I mean, the Jets beat the Titans, and that's who the Jaguars play this week, so.
Because that's how that works.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
But if the Jets can beat them, anyone can beat them. But
That is
yeah,
true.
Tua should be back for that game against the Dolphins as well. Whether he actually plays or not, whether he's back to fully fit, is a different
Yeah,
story.
true.
So wait, hold on.
Nice to see.
The Titans, right? They beat the
Yes.
Seahawks, did they?
Did they?
Did they beat the Seahawks at some point this season? Was that the game that went to overtime?
Oh, yeah, it was, last week. Okay, see how it went overtime, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so
yes,
hear me out here.
Yes, it did. 33
By that logic, the Seahawks beat the 49ers.
Yeah.
The Titans beat the Seahawks.
Oh,
And the
fuck's
Jets
sake.
beat the
The
49ers.
Jets beat the 49ers. And the Patriots beat the Jets. Patriots better than 49ers confirmed.
Who else have the Patriots played this year?
Dolphins,
Well,
Bills.
this is going to come full circle somehow.
The Bucks, the Dolphins.
Yeah, you're going to get one of those, the mathematical formulas that says that the 49ers have beaten the 49ers or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. We're coming full circle. 49ers are better than the 49ers.
While we're on the 49ers game, obviously it was a bit of a joy for me to watch. I think
Oh,
he
fuck.
enjoyed watching. Especially, what did you think of Trey Lance in the second? Obviously, because it's his first real test instead of playing one snap.
It's his first
And,
real test, but also it was a terrible time to be thrown in because Jimmy picked up a calf injury in the first drive, and
Yeah,
that stopped him apparently then for the rest of the first. Well, that stopped him from playing to his full ability for the rest of the first half apparently, and then it got worse at
Right.
time. So they brought in Trey, so he was just kind of thrown into the deep end. The game plan was
Yeah.
for Jimmy.
yeah,
to be
yeah,
out there.
100%. Yeah, if it was
Um,
not for Trey, I'm
so
sure they
he
had
wasn't
one or
even-
two plays.
He
sure
wasn't
they had
even
one or two
traded
plays
with the
at
first
the time.
team, I don't think.
But yeah,
So, I mean, he had some really nice throws. He had some incompletions that were unlucky, like the Kittle in
Yeah.
the end zone one. That the defender came in and hit him at the perfect time to knock that ball out.
yeah.
I mean, we'll see. There's talk of Jimmy possibly being back for Sunday's game against the Cardinals. So I'm not sure if we'll see if Trey Lance will get a full game if Jimmy's not back. But it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how he does after he actually has a game plan for him and manages to train with the first team.
Not bad.
Yeah, full week's worth of training, true. Mike, thoughts on your game Sunday night?
Oh, you know, I was watching it, and obviously it's the New England Patriots versus the Buccaneers for those listening. I went into that thinking we are going to get absolutely hockeyed. Like, they just have too many weapons. We're not playing well. Our defense isn't playing well. Our offense just isn't clicking. I went into it, and I was watching it on the bus, and I was like, all right, that's a good stop. We scored a touchdown. Oh, okay. We got another. Oh. And the fact that I felt disappointment that we missed the field goal, I think is a moral victory. That I was like, oh, we were in that game.
Yeah,
I've never been so happy.
Really well, or they just played terrible.
Brady
looked
really poor.
Oh, we played really well. Like, it was, the defense was up thing. They didn't get one single passing touchdown. It was the one rushing. We had a few mistakes. Some killer JJ Taylor fumbling it in their 20-yard on their 20 was a killer.
Yeah.
I don't think all of that though was the Patriots defense. Like, Tom Brady just looked.
I think it was a bit emotional
really
as well, because Brady is an emotional person.
Yeah.
They gave him the Vinny treatment.
Oh yeah, we cheered before, and then as soon as the game goes, you fucking suck.
Go fuck yourself. Boo. Yes, they got the way out. It's like, yeah, well done. And then this game starts. Boo.
I also thought
there was a little bit of, like, obviously in the first quarter there was a little bit of cheering when he broke the passing record, and it was like everyone cheered, and then immediately when he played the second pass, it was like, boo, boo.
I also thought the Patriots were going to get gifted the game with a bullshit PI at the end
that was bullshit. Yeah. Now, that's what I want to talk about. That last, before we go with the bullshit PI, it was bullshit PI. I'm going to be the first one to admit that is no way. And it's probably the only reason we were in that position in the first place to win the game was that bullshit PI. We'll never know. What was your decision on the 4th and 3?
Which one?
It was just there at the end. It was 4th and 3
on the 50-yard line. Field goal.
Whether to take the field goal or go for it to get closer. Because it was a 56-yard field goal in the rain.
I think they should have gone for it, to be honest.
Mac
Jones was on 19 completions in a row at that point.
That's
he was
very
on fire.
true. I actually agree, because we can say this now and we won't know, but at the same time, our offensive line wasn't doing back any favors. Like, if they decided to blitz, we could be saying he just got absolutely sacked to bits, and that was the end of the game. We should have taken the points. We knew our offensive line wasn't holding.
I would always say that they should ask the kicker if the kicker's comfortable.
Oh yeah, the kicker was comfortable. Like he said, he made a 58-yard in the pregame. He was comfortable doing it, and look, he dunked it. It wasn't like it was
close.
Like, it was really close.
But
the other thing is, though,
to kick it, but
I think the other thing is, though, that if they had gotten it, there was a lot of time left on the clock.
It was a lot of time
50 seconds, 2 timeouts. Can Brady do what Brady does?
All he would have needed was to get into field goal range for a game-winning field goal.
But I still don't think he really would have, because they were not moving the ball
Yeah, he was shocking.
It was it's a lot
like I said,
for him that day.
I take a lot of positives out of that game.
Oh no, no, that's very fair.
And I am really happy Mac had a very good game.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a lot of positives from him in his first 4 games. The only problem I have is, my God, are we not protecting that poor kid?
Fair. To be fair, he had to have a good game when you look at -1 rushing yards.
Brady had more rushing yards than we did.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was.
Oh my God.
And
Brady had 1 rush, and then he's done for the season now.
I think from what I read, your main positive gain rushing was from Nelson Aguilar, so not even a running back.
Yeah, because it was a lateral pass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fair.
I think that's all the news I had. Anyway, does anyone else have any more news?
I could talk about the Browns game, but then again, I didn't see it, so maybe not.
We did.
Yeah,
Did we discuss the big Super Sunday game? Liverpool City.
I mean,
It sounded like you didn't want to Discuss it.
If at halftime you offered me a draw, I probably would have jumped at the chance because we were shocking in the first half. But
Yeah.
it's so disappointing
the
that we
score at
weren't
the
able
half?
to 0-0.
But City were
City were
dominating.
dominating. Like we had a really good first
Actually,
5 minutes, and then we were shocking.
Yeah, the fact that City didn't go 1 or 2 up baffles me.
Allison was huge in the first half. Like he had some
Yeah.
fantastic saves. But the fact that we weren't able to hold on after Salah's incredible finish just is so disappointing.
For both goals, I thought that was it. If we could just hold on after the first one, it was like incredible by Salah. Let's just hold on. We concede within the 5, and I'm like,
I mean, that's how
try it
football
again.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the first one, I thought there was plenty of time. There was too much time for them. I thought they were definitely going to score, but after we got the second one in, like I didn't think there was enough time for them to come back, and they did so quickly.
To be fair, it was a deflection that sent Allison the wrong way. Well, like a shot went, Allison dived, it hit Matip and deflected to the other side
it
of
was
Allison.
unlucky. It was
So it's an unlucky goal to concede. But what do you think of the not red card decision? Well, yellow card.
I think that. I mean, look, I could see the referee. I think there's a lot being made of it because it sounded to me live like the referee blew for a foul by Henderson.
Yeah.
Which would mean he can't book Milner afterwards because it wasn't dangerous play.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's been a lot made of it out of.
I think it's one of those where I don't think it's a yellow card, regardless of the challenge. I think it's. Now, this from my view, and I'm probably really biased, and I'll accept the biasness on this one. From when I saw it, now I didn't watch multiple replays. From what I saw, is the leg was out well before he was running to kick past him, and he's ran into it knowing this.
Yeah, it also from what I thought, it looked like he was going down before he made any contact with Milner's leg.
Yeah, and he knew what was going on because you could see immediately he's looking at the ref pointing at him.
Yeah.
Which I was like, okay, they're trying to get him sent off. Like, even if it's a foul on Milner and they blow the foul, okay, I can see it's a foul. I don't think it's a yellow card.
Fair.
It's one of those, the leg's out there, yes, but it's not like he's kicked him because he put the leg out there. He's left the leg, the guy's run over the leg to tripped over it. It's not a yellow.
That's interesting. I haven't seen it now, but I was talking to my cousin who's a die-hard Liverpool fan, and he said Milner should have been 100% sent off for it, but I did not see it.
I see fouls given all the time that are worse than what Milner did there, and they're not even a yellow, and people say, yeah, it's not a yellow. Like, I've seen a guy be wrestled to the ground style and not given as a yellow, but a free kick.
I think people seem to have different standards for what should be a yellow when it comes to a second yellow.
It's the fact that it's the second yellow. If he wasn't booked, no one would be complaining about that. If he wasn't booked before.
But also, I did think that the ref called for a foul on Henderson's challenge. Which happened beforehand anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that there was a lot made of it out of nothing.
Yeah.
I did love the clip of Guardiola going mental right in front of Mike Dean, who just stands there chewing gum.
Like, it got serious. Like, he took
Hang on a second here. I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
Mike, are you trying to take the argument that the Milner one shouldn't have been a foul?
No,
I'm saying it's not a
yellow. It's a foul.
But
he literally just said it shouldn't be a foul. He could see it being a foul, but he didn't think it was.
I misheard that.
I said I could see it as a foul, but it's, for me, in my opinion, it's the legs out before. Once again, I've only seen 2 or 3. I haven't seen it vigorously and intently. I'm watching live. I've seen just the legs out there, yes, it is. And Silva's ran over it. Is it immediate? Well, I need to know. As he kicked the ball, my understanding is the legs out before Silva kicks the ball to try and block the path of the ball rather than the player. Can I get a keen bar decision?
Oh yeah, I'm checking it. It's too hard to tell in this replay that I'm watching. No, definitely not. He kicks the ball. Milner sticks his foot out. He goes over it.
Yeah. Okay. So then it is a foul. I will concede it is a foul, but I don't think it's
my
yellow.
knowledge of yellow cards is something I want to know more of, but I don't know.
Oh, it definitely
What
would
it
have been
is.
a foul, but I think he blew the whistle for Henderson's foul first anyway, which just completely
Fair.
negates any argument that
Because of it, yeah.
can be made, because it's not like excessive.
I don't
There's
think this
not
includes the Henderson, but that's
violent
well, it
conduct
does.
or anything.
Is Henderson?
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. It's all happening so fast, though.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I
Yeah.
think that's why people miss the fact that Henderson fouled him originally as
Oh
well.
fuck! Alright. Oh my god. Okay, maybe because it's in slow motion, but Bernardo does not do a great job protecting himself, and he smashes his head off the turf. I feel like he
Yeah.
should be more concerned with that.
But he also does start going down before he gets anywhere near Milner's leg. But anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway,
Another big result. United dropping points again.
Yes.
yes. What was the score in that game?
1-1.
Can't remember. Right.
1-1.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
another poor result for United. Keen, as our resident United fan, what are your thoughts? Even though I know you don't really watch football.
Yeah. No. Oh no, they lost. But no. Damn them. I have no idea. Is that the one that they
Yeah.
benched Ronaldo for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different
Instead
game.
of Cavani. They brought Ronaldo on in the 57th minute at 1-0 up, and then Andros
Okay,
Townsend
yes.
equalised.
Okay, I do have a thing to say on this. This is the one where we all seen the memes that Ronaldo has Ronaldo on his shin pads. That I appreciated.
I mean,
Right.
I saw he was in the news because they're saying, obviously at the end of the game, you could see he's really ticked off and is mumbling.
Yeah, and I saw Gary Neville saying that he's experienced enough to know exactly what he's doing there. And all he's doing is just
Yeah.
putting pressure on the manager.
Oh yeah, yeah. I did see great memes though beforehand where it was him talking to Ole, and Ole's like, "All right, we're going to start you on the bench, but Fred's going to be starting." That made me laugh.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen many things, and there's many things to say. There's reports saying that if Oli ever gets sacked, it's Ronaldo's taking over. I saw reports of that. You heard those stories?
Yeah, that would make sense though. Like he's such a big personality that it does make sense that he would have a say, or at least they would get in a Ronaldo friendly manager.
Oh, 100%, I would say.
And then last bit on United is the Donnie Van Der Beek incident.
I saw he was really annoyed that he didn't get on, was it?
Oh, it's not only did he not get on, it's obviously the team's losing. They need to come on and all this. They're 1-1. They're really chasing a goal, Champions League and all that. I think it's about 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
That's what Fred is being brought on and he lost. It seems like as soon as Fred's coming on, he loses the plot and like he's throwing his chewing gum on the ground, all this jazz in anger. Which is very understandable. I don't understand how he's not being used at United or getting any game time.
Apparently he was promised he would get more game time, and he just hasn't yet.
He hasn't. And I feel
Get the
so
football
bad for
manager
him. Like,
singing.
Yeah, 100%.
the one game I saw him play, he played really well for 45 minutes and then was hooked because they were down. They went down 10 men and they decided to take him off and put Fred on.
It's a weird
Fair.
one, alright.
And I was
I've
like,
heard he is quite good at the footballs now. Yeah.
I think he's exceptional talent. I'd love to see him at Liverpool, but unfortunately, I don't think we could get him direct. He'd have to go somewhere, and then we get him from there. And I think he'd be spiteful enough to join us.
Everton are
If
apparently
his
interested
career
in him.
doesn't turn around,
Yeah.
then yeah.
They spent
That's
35
very
million
fair.
on him, like, and he just doesn't.
But that's the thing. Everton put a bid in for him in August, and he wanted to go, and United rejected it and said, "No, we're going to play you more," and they haven't.
It's insane.
Sure.
Anyway,
All right.
that's all for the news. Is it?
Yep, 55 minutes in. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So, to be fair, that suits me because I have nothing to say on our next segment.
I mean, you have a few things I'd like to think.
No, not really.
From your own perspective, or else we're getting a very biased opinion from one Patriot fan, a former Patriot fan.
My issue is that, all right, for obviously, we should actually introduce what we're going to talk about first.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the Patriots Dynasty in the NFL because there's a new tell-all book after coming out. By who is
it out yet?
I don't know.
I can't even remember. I think it is out. I think it's
research,
being
Mike.
out.
Okay, it's by ESPN senior
I'm
writer
not reading
Seth Wickersham, apparently.
I don't think it's fully, and I think both Brady and Belichick have said this is second to third hand knowledge here.
Yes.
That's coming out.
The book is called It's Better to Be Feared by ESPN senior writer Seth Wickersham, which describes the Patriots dynasty from 2001 to 2019, and it's apparently going to be released on the 12th of October.
So a week from now. Cool.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, because that's coming out, we're going to discuss the Patriots dynasty.
Yes.
And the issue with that is that the vast majority of that dynasty occurred well before I ever started watching the NFL.
You not watch videos though? I've watched so many videos about
you've not seen
Like videos, but I don't particularly care, to be honest.
That's very fair.
No, that's fair.
But
so obviously,
the one thing I did see from the book though was that apparently Robert Kraft called Belichick the biggest fucking asshole in my life.
Yeah. Or the Bill O'Brien was told he get the job, so he sabotaged his career.
Yeah. I still don't believe that.
It seems like an insane prospect.
What that sounds like is your fellow needed stories for the book, and someone who knew Bill O'Brien was like, see those stupid things he did? Yeah, they were on purpose because, he had an in with Robert Kraft. Yeah, that's why he did it.
Anthony Hopkins for a fourth rounder? Yes.
Like, that would be so much more believable if he gave DeAndre Hopkins to the Patriots. Then that would make sense because that would be fucking hilarious and, a little bit probably illegal, but very funny.
It also apparently goes into the very cozy relationship between Belichick and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
No, it doesn't really surprise me either.
Get away with many things over the years.
No,
They taped the Bengals coaches.
Let's just address that one. That one is still. Have you ever heard that story? It's the most ridiculous thing, and we did lose a draft pick on it. But from what I've heard from the whole Bengals Spygate 2.0 is a guy in a Boston jersey, I think it was the Bruins, showed up to the press box with all the reporters with a massive camera and just started recording.
But they're not recording their do your job thing at the time or something like that.
That's the thing. It was a do your job. They were just getting B-roll.
They were filming the Bengals.
B-roll of the Bengals game because they agreed with the Bengals already that there'd be a camera crew in that press box. That's why they were there. So the Bengals knew about this, but the fact that he showed up in a Bengals thing and he was looking there, and they were like, "What are you doing there?" And he said, "Oh, I'm just recording. I'll delete it if it's a problem." And they were like, "Why are you deleting?" And that's it. That's how the story broke out. How more obvious if you're gonna cheat that way? Surely you do it in the stands, right? And just be like, "Yep."
No, because of then when they get caught and they're like, "Look at this! It's a Bostonian goofball. He's not associated with us. It's a much better cover story." Oh no, this isn't real. This isn't serious. What are you talking about?
Now, I would like to see. I haven't heard anything of it. No one said what's on the film.
There was allegations that it was their coaching signals or something like that, but I doubt that's true. I just think it's hilarious.
And the other thing is, it was the Bengals who were 1-14. Why are we learning on the Bengals? Why? What advantage do we gain?
No, he's playing the Bengals. No,
we were playing the Bengals
a few weeks later, weren't you, or something?
Yeah, That's it. So it's like, why are we doing it on the Bengals? It's because we were playing the Bengals 2 weeks later.
So
It's like,
funny.
they haven't won a game. Why are we doing this?
The serious one, though, right? Deflategate.
I think Deflategate. I don't think so. What's your opinion on Deflategate? For those that don't know, it was the Colts were complaining that the balls were deflated for their side. And that's why they lost 40-odd something in a blowout.
I didn't think so until they gave them Tom 4-game suspension, which makes me think they must have found at least a little bit of evidence that says
I
something.
don't think they did. I think it was a case of that they made such a big deal of it that had to punish someone. Like, it wasn't they had to punish, and they said, "Fuck it, we're gonna just punish Tom." But it's not like Tom deflates the balls. He was punished for, oh shit, we're gonna have to punish someone. Tom, we're gonna punish you. You're probably the mastermind behind it.
Weird. I don't like that. I don't think they could get away with that. Where they're like, "We're punishing you. Why? No, you might have done something. I don't know." Like, that doesn't seem like something they could do.
Yeah.
But my favorite
Spygate
story
happened. Alright, Spygate happened. I will admit Spygate is something that happened.
Yeah.
I cannot deny that one. That one came out.
Can.
And did you ever find out how Spygate happened? I mean, how it was uncovered?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
That is really good. So basically, Eric Mangini was was part of the coaching staff of the Patriots for a while, early 2000s and all that.
He was, yeah.
He was then the coach of the Jets. He got the head coach job at the Jets.
Yeah.
And upcoming to one of the games, he called Belichick and said, "Look, I know what you do. Just don't do it to me." And Belichick said, "I'm going to fucking do it to you." And he said, "Don't do it to me, or else I'm going to call it out." And Belichick says, "I'm not going to treat you any differently." And so he blew the whistle on it. So
Really?
that's how Spygate. Yeah, that's how it came out.
Jesus. That's...
It's because Bill wouldn't hide it on Mangini.
It wasn't a big enough thing then if allegedly he did this to everyone.
Yeah.
But do you know my favorite thing about Tom Brady? Which, this is what I want. I have a question here. It's quite funny at the end. So when Tom Brady got drafted, and I think, I don't know, a day later when everyone went to England, he introduced himself to Robert Kraft, and Robert Kraft's like, "Yeah, I know who you are. You're our 6th-round draft pick." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm the best decision this franchise has ever made." Yeah, great. Amazing. How many 6- and 7-round picks do you think now have said that to their GM or CEO the day they got signed and have gone on to be utter useless twats? That's what I want to know.
I
like
to hear that.
Everyone says that. Going on with the Brady pick, though, how many first-round picks become goat farmers within 10 years?
Was he a first-round pick? I thought he was later than that.
Was he? I thought he was the first round.
No, Chad Pennington went in the first. I'm trying to remember his name.
Carmelo.
Gio Carmazzi.
Carmazzi.
Yeah,
to the
he was
49ers.
The 49ers pick. It might have been a first rounder. I didn't think so, but yeah, after a while he's now a goat farmer.
He was a 3rd-round pick.
Third round. Because I always
he lasted for a few years, but it's amazing.
I know the guy from the 49ers. The guy from the NFL, the 49ers head coach, he always says, yes, I understand. I'm the guy that passed on Tom Brady and drafted a goat farmer. He always sees the funny side of it.
Yeah. Particularly when...
But,
I do want to know how much they take.
You're doing a disservice as well. It's just worth pointing out that Carmazzi was living in North California as a farmer, yoga practitioner, and owner of 5 goats who did not own a television.
That's like in the Brady documentary, all they say is he refused to interview and he is now a goat farmer.
That's all
they say about it. Oh, it's,
going back to the dynasty, obviously it's one of the greatest sports achievements in modern day sports.
Yeah.
20 years. Now, me being a diehard fan, I like to think it's not over until after we not make the playoffs this year. My reasoning for it is because we still counted the dynasty for 20 years, even though we missed the playoffs one time in that space already. That was the year Brady blew out his ACL week 1. and we finished with 11-5.
I mean, Dynasty is
With
like
Castle,
over
Matt
when all the
Castle.
pieces are gone.
Yeah, and I mean, Brady was the biggest piece.
Yeah. Like,
Oh, yeah,
you could still connect it a little bit until Belichick's gone, but it's definitely not part of the
There's
dynasty
still a good
anymore.
few pieces from the defense is still there, but yeah, it's probably dead, and I'm just
It's like it's
clinging
dead.
on.
It's dead.
I'm clinging on to the pieces, saying it's still good. It's still good.
It's still good. Yeah, true.
But-
True.
I think the fact that we were able to, no, they were able to, not we, they were able to rebuild it's two separate teams, the early 2000s
Yeah.
and then the early 2010s. Two separate. And then there was the midi where we were actually a very offensive 07, 09. Those two ones against John. We don't talk about them.
No, why not, Mike? Yeah. The parts of the dynasty were wrong then.
Ah, not talking about the helmet catch.
Yeah, that was kind of
Perfect season on
insane.
the line. But the one thing that's always come out, and it's annoyed me as a Patriots fan, but I want to get the opinions of a Browns fan and a 49er.
Yay.
Of the dynasty, the 20 years, right? If you were to give a percentage, how much is Brady, how much is Belichick?
That's what I was hoping that these few years of them apart would kind of give eyes on. I'd be leaning maybe a little bit towards Belichick.
I would be of the same. I have the opinion it's 60-40. I still think it's a lot of Tom. But
It's a lot of Tom, but I'd say it's slightly more Bill.
Now, there are people saying, oh, look at the stats, look at Brady since that, but Brady had the advantage of, he got to pick what team he went to next, and he picked a team with stacked weapons, 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, solid tight end.
A lot of people went there, though, after he joined. He was
Because
definitely part of them. Yeah.
Not a lot. It was Antonio Brown and Gronk and Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
They still
Big
had
parts of their offense. No, they definitely did have weapons before that. And I always thought their defense was underrated.
Yeah.
But,
So, people are saying, well, look at Brady. He's brought this team that were finished 7-7 and brought them to the Super Bowl. They were a good team. They were just a lot of turnovers.
they had a quarterback who couldn't see.
Yeah.
They had a quarterback who just hoofed it deep and went, somebody's got to be down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's insane.
And now, obviously, the book goes on and says that the Brady-Belichick relationship just went out the shatters in early 2016 when, obviously, at the time, Brady was he was getting old. I think he was in his 40s at this stage. And, at the time, there was no QB really in their 40s. And Belichick already had plans in place that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to take over as the new starting QB. Because, they drafted him. He's young enough. Brady's old. Brady apparently went to Robert Kraft behind Belichick's back and said, I want to stay. Don't let Bill start Garoppolo. I want to be the thing. And Kraft apparently went to Belichick and said, you got to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not allowed in the building anymore. You got to trade him. So they ended up having to trade Garoppolo to the 49ers. And they signed a 2-year deal. And then, obviously, Brady leaves 2 years later. And where we were left with no QB plan.
True.
So I always feel like that's a bit of a sour note from Brady's part, from my eyes. Like, you said you were going to stay, and then you decide to maneuver your way out. Now, fair enough, the guy didn't want him there. I understand why he wanted to leave, but don't force the guy out. He didn't like Garoppolo because Belichick always saw him as his replacement, and he didn't want him there.
But could he not go all Aaron Rodgers on it and, take it personally and then just make him sit in the wings as he, has an MVP caliber season, and then just stares him down and be like, what? Get comfy on that bench.
No, it was a case of, he didn't want them there at all to give Bill the temptation.
He really didn't trade up for Jimmy G.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, I think it was more because, look, once again, we're going into unprecedented territory. No one knew how well Brady would play the younger he got. If you look at his stats from the early 2000s for when he's first
The
played his
older
first.
he got?
I assume
Yeah,
that's
the
what he
older he
meant.
got, sorry. Yes, the older he got. If you look at his
The older
first
he gets, you don't know how good he's going to get. It's like, I don't understand Mike
I didn't
Sanders'
realize
look
Tom
at
Brady
the
was
first-
Benjamin Button.
Yeah. It makes so
He
much
could be.
sense now. He's actually only
Well,
26.
TB12. Like, if you look at Brady's stats from the first 7 years
I
of his
was
career,
looking this up
last
because we were talking
7,
about it. They were,
they are massively different.
yeah. Once he gets Gronk and the other tight end who should not be named, and a few other things in 07, it just skyrockets.
Gronk and other tight end are 2011.
Already Monster says in 7, wasn't it?
2007 is Randy Moss and Wes Welker.
Oh, yeah. So we did notice his stats just massively spiked after 07,
Now, to be
which
fair,
was quite fun.
another problem was Belichick never gave him a weapon after Moss. Moss was his one true wide receiver talent that he was given.
Oh, wide receiver? Yeah.
Like high end. Wes Welker became a high end talent. Same with Edelman became. But they weren't stars before they came over.
I would agree with that. Oh,
And
fuck.
even then, Moss was
That's
like,
gone off. I think we're
he was
okay.
already a flop at the Raiders, so they said, yeah, we'll take a chance on him. We haven't gotten, like, we're going to try for a big star. The likes of Odell or Tyreek Hill. We wouldn't trade for those players.
Well, no, but not many teams can. But
Yeah, but
they
like, look,
definitely had the big stars, just never at wide receiver. The big stars legitimately everywhere else.
yeah, like tight end. It was tight end. We got lucky in the draft.
All
But we
over
got,
the defense.
Yeah.
Good offensive line. Normally,
Yeah.
somewhat competent running backs.
yeah.
Like, yeah, the one position they definitely never... Like, they never really had to, though. It was never a glaring issue. They could always make passes, move the
As the
ball.
joke was, the Patriots win Super Bowls with unnamed white wide receivers.
Yeah, 5'10". Wait, yeah, that was their prototype wide receiver.
Yeah.
It worked for them.
Yeah. And then obviously other stories were the Alex Guerrero, Brady's trainer / coach. Bill began to say kicked him out of the team playing, which I think is very fair.
What?
And the facility. He kicked Tom Brady's trainer / coach off and said, out of the facility, said, look, if you're going to set up an office outside of my facility. You're also not allowed on the team playing to travel to games.
Yeah, I get
Which
that.
is
It was just his
like,
personal
I assume
staff.
it's
I
like
get that.
It's a case of like, why does one player get all this special treatment in front of others? Yes,
No,
I think
would agree
Bill's
with
one of
that,
those. It's one for everyone. Like, I have to be the same way I am to others, and that's something Brady apparently never liked. Was, according to this book, he was always treated as if he was one of the 52 and didn't get special treatment.
Yeah.
Which I could agree with.
Fair,
I could agree
fair.
with it, but would I do it? Probably not.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Like, would you be against George Kittle getting special treatment this year at 49ers?
I mean, that's a different. That's Boy George. That's a different.
That is
That's
Boy
Boy
George.
George.
And also, tight end's a very different position to QB.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a magical tight end who can fix his fucking leg in the middle of a game.
I still
It's-
don't know how he was able to play all that game.
Yeah, he just got up and walked it. I was like, oh my god.
That's just insane to me.
Yeah.
I think what happened was the way he got hit from behind, that he hit him like just on the knee, the back of the knee, and it was the way he folded himself after getting hit on the knee that it looked to me like he'd just broken his leg.
Yeah.
So it may have been worse than I thought, but it did look like he just buckled his leg.
up inside, like
Yeah.
underneath him.
That's I don't know.
Yeah.
Magic Man.
I think, like I said, we're in rebuild at the moment.
The Patriots have been better with Mac this year than I thought they were going to be.
I think we're actually worse, if I'm being honest.
Than you thought?
Yeah. So bad. I came into
No,
the season thinking we had a top 5 offensive line and a top 5 running game. We have neither. We have bottom.
I remember you saying that, and I remember me saying, no, you definitely don't have that. But, I don't know. He seemed definitely more solid and well-rounded than I thought. Definitely didn't think what's-his-face Mac would be as good as he is.
Yeah, I think he's looking better than I had originally thought as well.
I'd like to think of the 5 rookie QBs, I think Mac is looking the best. I
do think he's in the best situation, but I do think that he is definitely playing the best. I do want to go back and watch the Jets game though from the weekend and see how good he was.
Yeah.
See where he's given a chance, because the few games I've watched him so far, he's just I don't know, not had a great time
my thing I've seen with Zach Wilson is, and I know we made the joke about it, he suffers from MVS syndrome really badly. For those that don't know what MVS is, it's just like we have the thing is, he always wants the best option. Not necessarily the safest one, the big play. He won't go for the 5-10 yard, he'll go for the 40-50 yard, if that's on, regardless of what's ahead of him.
Yeah.
And I think that hampers him a bit. That he like in the Patriots game we watched of Zach Wilson, for 3 of those picks, the check down was free. Belichick gave him the check down, but he went.
That might be a bit generous. I don't know if that's true. Like I remember 1 or 2 of them where I don't think it was his fault. Definitely was.
Oh no! I'm saying not the throw, but I'm saying the throws. Yeah, they're not his fault that he threw them. But I'm saying that on those throws there were other wide receivers open. Now he might not have seen them.
That's what you're saying, but like that's very unfair criticism. Very unfair. But yeah.
But like I said, only time will tell what happens in this. How Belichick does after Brady.
True.
Like I don't think we can judge Belichick after Brady till I effectively say 1 more year, because then it's 3 years rebuild.
Yeah. No, that's fair. See where he gets after 3 years.
Like Tom went from one team that was rebuilding to a team that was ready.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Make the push.
It'll be interesting to come back after your timeline and see if if they're a good team again.
Yeah, look, I don't think we'll ever be, and I don't think there'll be any other team that does what the Patriots did for the last 20 years.
Fair.
I can't see another team dominating not only their division, but their conference and subsequently Super Bowls. Like we won 6 Super Bowls in 20 years.
Like, yes,
and we were at 9.
The thing is,
we've been to 9 of 20.
I think it will happen, but not in our lifetime. It's the kind of thing that records are made to be broken.
Yeah.
If the NFL goes on for another 100, 200 years, someone will come along who wins 7 in 15 years or something like that. But yeah, it's a once in multiple generation kind of story, I think.
It is sad though when I do look back. It's kind of like parents fighting in a sense that it's Belichick and Brady are seen to be these worst of enemies. That's 90% of my childhood is watching them be best pals. What's going on? Mom, Dad, stop fighting.
Yeah, true.
It'll be interesting to see the entire story when the book comes out, and if it does indeed cover, everything actually have.
Like I said,
all the info.
The only people it's only when Brady or Belichick say the thing, then I will believe it. But obviously neither of them said it after the game. They were both saying glowing. And apparently after the game, Belichick went into the Bucs locker room and was chatting away to Tom for 20 minutes and was late to his press conference because he was having a chat with him.
I don't know if he'd be allowed into their dressing room, but I do find it hard to believe that they're not at least, on speaking terms, that they're not some form of friends nowadays.
They've been together for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
the
one
thing is,
been alive.
It's not far, 2 years off of, he's the one thing is if people aren't getting along, the one way they will stay together is if they're winning, which they were.
Yeah.
I like 20 years. Like it's even if you are winning, it's so impossible to stay with someone.
Don't get me wrong. We also got very fortunate where we were put in and I will be the first one. We were put in a unique situation where we were just so blessed to be in that division for so long.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Belichick did stay with the Jets and not take the Patriots offer?
Yeah.
If they would have then signed Brady, and then they would have had the 20-year
That's
dynasty,
one of the
and
greatest
you'd be a Jets fan.
That's one of the what I wouldn't have been. I'd still be a Patriots fan, but it's one of the greatest what if.
You'd be a Jets fan.
Nah. I'd still be Patriots.
Right.
And another one to the list of Mike is full of shit.
I'm still a Drew Bledsoe Patriots fan.
Well, I think we can call it there.
Yeah.
So thanks for calling in, Mike. We really appreciate your call.
No problem, guys. I gotta go. I think Polish sports are getting to me. I think I finally got a breakthrough on the translate.
Oh fuck.
Hopefully next week we can get back to our regular way of recording things, and Mike won't sound like he's just calling in from the middle of nowhere.
Do.
All right. Cheers for listening, and feed the algorithm.
Yeah.